The Swiss Alps, cozy mountain huts, well-marked trails, seasoned guides. It feels like nothing can go wrong here. But what if I told you that this very sense of safety can be the biggest trap of all? 10 experienced skiers set out on a familiar route. They have everything they need, a guide who has already conquered 3 of the world's highest peaks, the latest gear, a carefully planned itinerary. Within 24 hours, 7 of them will never return home. How did a team of experts become victims of their own confidence? What missteps led to one of the most haunting tragedies in modern mountaineering? Let's break down every move of that fateful journey. It's the early morning of April 29, 2018. At 6:30, the group of 10 leaves the warm comfort of the Dix hut. Spirits are high. The weather looks perfect. Ahead lies one of Europe's most stunning ski tours, the legendary Haute Route from Chamonix in France to Zermatt in Switzerland. The Dix hut sits at nearly 3,000 meters. It's more than a mountain shelter. It's a full complex with a restaurant, comfortable bunks, and modern heating. In peak season, up to 100 people stay here each night. Alpinists, backcountry skiers, and hikers who come just to soak in the alpine views. 6 or 7 days across untouched slopes. 6 or 7 days surrounded by 4,000-meter giants. Thousands of skiers complete this classic route every year. It's considered almost tourist-friendly, with huts every 15 to 20 kilometers, well-traveled trails, and expert guides. Most guidebooks rate it as moderate, but the mountains can be deceiving. What feels easy in clear weather can turn deadly when conditions shift. The group is a mix of French and Swiss ski touring enthusiasts, ranging in age from their 30s to their 60s. A doctor from Geneva, an engineer from Lyon, a math teacher from Grenoble. All are seasoned in the backcountry. Some have been skiing these peaks for 2 decades. Their gear is top-notch. Technical ski suits, professional touring skis, avalanche beacons, probes. What could possibly go wrong? The forecast calls for clear skies. Daytime temperatures around 5 below zero. Light winds. Perfect conditions for a spring ski tour. The skiers are already making plans for the evening, some picturing a hot dinner at the next hut, others imagining sunset photos of the surrounding peaks. They climb steadily, breathing in the crisp morning air. The snow is flawless, not too soft, not too hard. A half-meter of dry powder lies like a perfect carpet between the rocks. They stop to take photos, share stories, laugh. The mood is easy, almost like a vacation. The next hut is only about 10 kilometers away. There's no need to rush. Ahead, the snowy crown of Mont Blanc glitters in the sun, glaciers shimmering in shifting light and shadow. This is the magic that draws people to the mountains. No one can know that. Within hours, their world will turn upside down. That nature is preparing a test no one can truly be ready for. Modern alpine huts are nothing like the rugged shelters you see in Everest documentaries. Swiss mountain lodges feel more like boutique hotels, warm showers, hearty meals, even internet, and a fireplace to relax by. Almost like a resort. The Dix hut is a jewel among them. A 3-story stone lodge with a wide terrace and a cozy dining room. Built in 1908, it's been modernized many times since. Today, it's a perfect example of Swiss mountain hospitality, comfort, safety, and deep respect for nature all in one. On the first floor, a spacious dining hall opens onto panoramic views of the Dix Glacier and the surrounding 4,000ers. Old photos of pioneering climbers and detailed maps decorate the walls, steeped in the history of alpinism. The kitchen has a reputation that reaches far beyond the valley. The chef serves classic Swiss dishes, fondue, raclette, alpine sausages, as well as lighter options for those facing a big climb the next day. Portions are generous. In the high mountains, calories burn fast. The upper floors house the bedrooms. No crowded dorms here, only 2 and 4 bedrooms with comfortable mattresses and fresh linens for every guest. Heating runs around the clock, keeping the rooms warm even on the coldest nights. Perhaps the hut's greatest pride is its modern water system. A hot shower after a long day isn't a luxury up here, it's essential. That warmth relaxes tired muscles, washes away sweat and fatigue, and most importantly, helps prevent dangerous hypothermia at altitude. Internet access here is surprisingly good. A satellite link keeps guests connected to the outside world, so it's easy to post stunning photos or let family know where you are. Even in the high Alps, few people want to disconnect completely. By evening, the hut becomes a social hub. Climbers from around the globe gather around the fireplace to swap stories, share route tips, and talk about the peaks they've conquered. There's no real language barrier. The mountains have their own universal language. But all this comfort can create a dangerous illusion. After a night in a warm bed and a breakfast of hot coffee and croissants, it's hard to believe that just a few kilometers away, the mountains can turn into a deadly enemy. After a hearty breakfast, the group packs up for the next leg. Their destination is the Cabane de Vignette. On a map, it looks close, but alpine distance is measured not only in kilometers, it's measured in elevation, terrain, and the whims of weather. The plan calls for about 6 hours on the move. Their route crosses the Col de Mont Rouge at roughly 3,550 meters. It's a classic alpine pass that demands solid fitness and proper acclimatization. The climb gains nearly 1,000 meters before a long descent to the next hut. Leading the way is Mario Castiglione, joined by his wife Claudia. Mario is a legend in local mountaineering. At 58, he looks a decade younger, sun-browned skin, wiry arms, and the steady stride of someone who has spent half a lifetime in the high peaks. His resume is impressive. 3 Himalayan giants, Manaslu, Cho Oyu, and Dhaulagiri, plus dozens of routes across the Alps, including the forbidding north faces of the Eiger and the Matterhorn. But what Mario values most is his spotless record as a guide. In 20 years, he's never lost a client. Claudia is no novice either. A certified mountain rescuer, she handles the group's medical safety. Her pack holds a full first aid kit, medications for altitude sickness, and gear for stabilizing fractures in the field. The two work seamlessly together. Mario charts the course and manages the technical side of the climb. Claudia monitors everyone's condition, keeps the pace steady, and spots the first signs of fatigue or altitude trouble. Before setting out, Mario gives a detailed briefing. He checks everyone's gear, reviews the route, and explains potential hazards. Avalanche beacons are on, radios tuned to the same channel, emergency flares distributed. It all feels professional and meticulous. An experienced guide, a prepared team, a well-known route. What could possibly go wrong? Still, Mario knows the rule the mountains have drilled into him. Never let your guard down. Even a familiar trail can bring fresh surprises every day. 8 clients follow the Castigliones this morning, each with a personal story and a private reason for being here at nearly 3,000 meters. What unites them is a love for the mountains and a drive to test their limits. Tommaso Peccoli, 42, is an architect from Milan. Tall and fit, with sharp brown eyes, he's been skiing the backcountry for 15 years. He started on Dolomite resorts, then moved on to freeride and ski tours. Tommaso has a special passion, studying the architecture of alpine huts and villages. His photo collection of mountain design already holds more than 1,000 images. But he's more than just a hobbyist. For the past 3 years, Tommaso has organized ski tours for friends and colleagues, choosing routes, huts, and reliable guides. This entire trip was his idea, and he was the one who booked Mario Castiglione after carefully reading reviews on mountaineering forums. Elisabetta Paolucci, 38, is a cardiologist from Turin. Small in stature but remarkably strong, she turned to the mountains 5 years ago after a divorce, looking for a way to cope with stress and find new purpose. She found far more than that. The Alps became her therapy, her philosophy, her way of life. For Elisabetta, it isn't just about adrenaline. As a doctor, she knows the health benefits of endurance, but she's even more drawn to the mental challenge, the fear to overcome, the teamwork, the split-second decisions in harsh conditions. All of it makes her a better physician and a stronger person. Marcello Alberti, 51, is a civil engineer from Florence and, after the guides, the most seasoned mountaineer in the group. He's been climbing for 23 years, tackling classic routes in the Dolomites, Mont Blanc, and Monte Rosa. He dreams of the Himalayan 8,000ers, but for now, keeps to the Alps. Marcello is methodical and cautious. Before every trip, he pores over maps, forecasts, and trip reports. His pack always carries extra clothes, spare food, and emergency gear. Friends joke that he preps for a trek the way he preps to build a bridge. Gabriella Bernardi, 44, is a literature teacher from Bologna and the group's most expressive soul. She doesn't hike often, maybe 2 or 3 trips a year, but each one is a celebration. She keeps a travel blog and writes poetry inspired by the mountains. For Gabriella, the Alps are art, not sport. She sees beauty where others see only rock and snow. Sunrise colors, the play of light on glaciers, the delicate trace of animals in fresh powder. Her photos and poems turn these details into small works of art. The remaining 4 are longtime clients of Mario, Swiss and French, each with their own passion for the peaks. A banker from Geneva who spends every weekend in the mountains, a retired man from Lyon chasing a youthful dream, and a young couple from Grenoble planning a honeymoon among the 4,000ers. The mood is warm and friendly. People trade plans, share laughs, and talk about the route ahead. Everyone speaks either French or English, and many have met on previous expeditions. The morning briefing is suddenly interrupted by a new weather report crackling over the radio. The update is grim. By midday, conditions around the Col du Mont Rouge are expected to deteriorate sharply. Strong winds, heavy snow, visibility dropping to just a few meters. An experienced guide, Mario takes in the news quickly. The original plan was to reach the Cabane de Vignette via the high pass, but in a whiteout that route would be reckless. Narrow ridges, steep slopes, and avalanche risk turn an ordinary traverse into a game of Russian roulette. He decides to change course. Instead of heading for the Cabane de Vignette, the group will aim for the lower Vignette's hut by a gentler route with easier slopes and more opportunities to turn back or find shelter if needed. Safety first, Mario explains. Some are disappointed. They'd hoped to see the famous views from the high pass, but no one questions his judgment. Tommaso Piccoli studies the revised route on the map. As the trip's organizer, he feels responsible for everyone, but he's unfazed by the change. In the mountains, he knows, flexibility matters more than ambition. Dr. Elisabetta Paolucci fully supports the decision. She understands the consequences of being caught in severe weather at altitude: hypothermia, frostbite, altitude sickness. These aren't risks to toy with. Still, the forecast warns of winds that could reach 80 kilometers an hour. For skiers, that means more than just a slower pace. Strong gusts can sap body heat dangerously fast. Mario weighs his options. They could stay another day at the Dick's hut, but tomorrow's forecast looks no better, and many in the group need to be back at work within 4 days. He decides to move out, hoping to reach safer ground before the worst hits. It's a reasonable plan, but the mountains have their own timetable. April 30th, 2018. Early morning at the Vignette's hut. The Castiglione group was expected the previous evening. They never arrived. Concern begins around midnight. Seasoned guides don't simply disappear. By dawn, concern turns to alarm. Radio contact with the group was lost the previous afternoon. Attempts to reach them by satellite phone fail. In these mountains, that usually means trouble. At 7:30 a.m., staff hear faint cries for help, drifting up from the slope about a kilometer away. The voices are weak but unmistakable, a distress call no one wants to hear. The hut manager alerts the valet rescue service. A helicopter is prepped, but fierce winds and low clouds keep it grounded. A 4-person rescue team sets out on skis 40 minutes after the call. Snow is deep, visibility poor, wind brutal. Every minute counts. What they find shocks even hardened rescuers. The skiers are scattered across a 100-meter stretch of slope. Some lie motionless in the snow. Others wave feebly for help. All are in severe hypothermia. The first body is Marcello Alberti, the careful engineer who always packed as if for a bridge project. He lies partially buried, dead for hours from cold and exhaustion. Others are still alive but in critical condition. Most have core temperatures around 34 degrees. At that point, clear thinking fades, coordination fails, and consciousness soon follows. Rescuers work fast. Emergency blankets, hot tea, medications to stimulate circulation. But for many, it's too late. After hours in the cold, their bodies can't recover. Tommaso Piccoli, the Milanese architect, dies on the way to the hut. Dr. Elisabetta Paolucci, who understood the stakes of every minute in an emergency, slips into unconsciousness and never wakes. Gabriella Bernardi, the literature teacher who saw art in the mountains, draws her final breath in a rescuer's arms. By noon, 7 lives are lost. Only 3 survive: Mario Castiglione, his wife Claudia, and 1 Swiss skier. All are badly frostbitten. What happened during that fatal night? How could a skilled team led by a veteran guide end up in such peril? The answers emerge only after survivors are questioned and the route examined. The day had started normally. The group left the Dick's hut on schedule, spirits high. The first hours passed without incident. Good snow, decent visibility, a comfortable pace. But by midday, conditions began to shift. First came a light fog, nothing unusual in the Alps. Seasoned climbers know it can lift or thicken fast. By 1 o'clock, visibility dropped to 50 meters. Mario slowed the pace and watched the route carefully. He was still confident. The trail was familiar, GPS was working, landmarks were visible. By 2, the snow began, light at first, then heavier. Large flakes blurred the air and quickly buried ski tracks. Within minutes, the path of earlier groups vanished. Visibility shrank to 10 meters, then 5. Finally, the dreaded moment every mountain guide fears: zero visibility. A white wall on all sides, no way to tell ground from sky, slope from plain, uphill from downhill. In that blizzard, navigation became a matter of life or death. Mario pulled out his smartphone with its GPS app. Modern technology might succeed where human senses failed. But technology has its limits too. The first challenge is the cold. At 15 degrees below zero, a smartphone battery drains 3 times faster than normal. Mario knows this and carries a spare, but swapping batteries in a blizzard is its own ordeal. The second is moisture. Snow lands on the screen, melts from the warmth of his hands, then freezes into a sheet of ice. The touchscreen stops responding. He has to keep wiping it clean, taking off gloves and risking frostbite with every attempt. The third is GPS accuracy. In the high Alps, satellite signals bounce off rock faces or vanish behind ridges. A margin of error of even a few dozen meters can mean straying into deadly terrain when visibility is zero. The app insists they're on track, but something feels wrong. The slope is steeper than the map suggests. Jagged rocks appear where none should be. Mario realizes they're off course. Trying to correct the mistake only deepens the confusion. In a whiteout, there's no sense of direction. The GPS and compass disagree. His instincts point somewhere else entirely. In that critical moment, Tommaso Piccoli steps in. The architect from Milan pulls a Garmin navigator from his pack, a professional device meant to outperform a phone. As a trip organizer, he knows how to use GPS in tough conditions. The Garmin powers up perfectly. Bright screen, full battery, satellites locked. It displays a detailed topographic map, trails, huts, elevations, exactly what they need. But in the rush, no one notices a crucial detail. Tommaso had loaded a summer map of the region. For most hikers, that hardly matters. The mountains themselves don't change with the seasons. Rock stays rock, glaciers stay glaciers, huts stay huts. The trails, though, are a different story. Summer routes and winter routes can diverge completely. A gentle footpath in July can be a lethal trap in April. Steep avalanche gullies, narrow ledges above cliffs, slopes where snow slides off, exposing sharp stone. Seasoned guides know these distinctions by heart. Mario could have explained why you never follow a summer trail in winter. But in the stress of zero visibility and biting cold, even professionals can misjudge. The Garmin shows a trail straight to the vignette's hut. The distance seems reasonable, the direction logical. Faced with worsening weather, the group makes a fateful choice: follow the summer path. Waiting in place feels riskier. For the first half hour, everything seems fine. The slope is gentle, no obstacles. The device leads them confidently forward. Even the snow eases, visibility stretching to 20 meters. But the terrain soon grows more demanding. The trail winds through rocky gullies, climbs steeply, dips into narrow chasms. In summer, these are scenic and harmless. In winter, they are a maze of hidden dangers. Mario senses trouble. His instincts whisper that they are off the safe winter route. Yet the navigator insists the hut is close, only 2 kilometers away, a mere half hour under normal conditions. Dr. Elisabetta Paolucci is the first to notice signs of strain. A few members begin to lag, their breathing heavier than the pace should require. It's a warning. They're burning more energy than planned. Gabriella Bernardi complains of cold in her feet. Her ski boots, fine for groomed trails, aren't built for deep snow at extreme cold. Early frostbite is another ominous sign. By 10:30, the group has fully drifted from the winter track. The Garmin continues to point confidently toward the hut, but it guides them along a summer path, wholly unsafe in these conditions. The summer trail runs along southern slopes where snowpack is unstable and avalanches are common. The winter route deliberately avoids these exposures, sticking to the more secure northern faces. On a map, the difference is subtle. In reality, it's life and death. The first major obstacle is a gorge crossing. In summer, a wooden footbridge spans a mountain stream. In winter, the bridge is buried and invisible. The group wastes precious time and energy searching for a way across. Marcello Alberti, the veteran alpinist, suggests retreating to their last known waypoint to relocate the winter route. But the Garmin insists the hut is only 1.5 kilometers away. Turning back would mean a 2-hour detour and deeper exhaustion. They choose to press on. It feels logical, but it's fatal. The summer trail leads them farther from the secure winter path, deeper into terrain unfit for winter travel. By noon, conditions spiral. Winds roar to 50 kilometers an hour. Snow falls harder. The temperature plunges toward 20 degrees below zero. Every extra hour is a battle for survival. The navigator still points to the hut, but the distance stubbornly stays the same. 1.5 kilometers remains 1.5 kilometers for 2 straight hours. Tommaso reboots the device, checks the settings. Nothing changes. Gradually, the truth sinks in. They are moving in circles. The summer trail loops around obstacles, climbing and descending without heading directly toward the hut. Buried under snow, with no visible landmarks, they keep retracing their own steps. By 2 p.m., it's clear they are lost. The Garmin, once a lifeline, has become a dangerous distraction, but turning back is no longer an option. Energy is nearly gone. The storm is strengthening. Mario makes a desperate call: find shelter and wait for a break in the weather. But here, far from the winter route, there is no safe place to dig in. The group is trapped by its own decisions and the illusion of technology. By midday on April 29th, the group does reach the summit of Pin de Rolla, 3,796 meters high, an impressive climb for any amateur team. On a clear day, the view spans the entire Mont Blanc Massif and Switzerland's proud 4,000ers, a spot where climbers normally pause to celebrate. But there is no celebration now. The storm is worsening by the minute. Visibility has fallen to near zero, a white wall in every direction. The wind batters even seasoned alpinists, and the temperature plunges. Mario realizes they are in a true alpine blizzard, what locals call the White Death. In such conditions, you can't tell ground from sky, ascent from descent. Disorientation sets in within minutes. People can wander in circles, never knowing where they are. The planned lunch on the summit is canceled. Every extra minute at nearly 4,000 meters in these conditions raises the risk of hypothermia and frostbite. The body burns enormous energy just to stay warm, and reserves drain fast. Mario makes the only possible call: begin the descent immediately. Staying on the peak in a storm like this is suicide. They need to lose altitude, find shelter from the wind, and generate heat. But descending in zero visibility is as dangerous as the climb. On steep slopes, one misstep could mean a fall into a crevasse or triggering an avalanche. Mario orders everyone to remove skis and strap on crampons. It's an unusual move for a ski tour, but the only smart choice now. Crampons give grip on the ice-glazed slope and let them place each step with precision. Skis are lashed to their packs, extra weight, but leaving them behind isn't an option. They'll need them if the weather clears, and without skis in deep snow, they could sink and be trapped. Changing gear in high wind and driving snow is an ordeal. Hands go numb almost instantly without gloves. The metal of the crampons burns with cold even through thick boots. But safety outweighs comfort. The descent begins at 12:02. By then the group has grown to 14. 10 original members plus 4 skiers from another party caught in the storm. Mario can't turn them away. In the mountains, helping others is an unwritten law. But the larger group creates new challenges. More people means slower progress and greater risk of someone straying. The newcomers don't know Mario's plan or his way of working. They have to follow the same summer trail they used to climb. In normal conditions, that's fine. Summer routes in the Alps are well marked and relatively safe. But winter changes everything. The summer path cuts across slopes that build unstable snow, skirts cliffs that form fragile cornices, and passes areas prone to avalanches, dangers invisible in a whiteout. Mario pulls out a climbing rope and ties the group together, a classic rescue technique. Each person is spaced about 3 meters apart, enough for safety, yet close enough to manage as one unit. The rope is literally their lifeline. In a world of swirling white, it's the only thing keeping them connected. Losing it would mean being alone in a frozen void, but the rope adds its own burden. It must be constantly untangled and kept clear of rocks or skis. In the fierce wind, it whips and drags, fighting their every move. By 1 p.m., winds hit 80 kilometers an hour, hurricane force strong enough to knock a person off the slope. The group is forced to crawl, clinging to every rock and ridge. The temperature plunges to 25 below, and with the wind chill, it feels closer to -40. Bare skin freezes in minutes. Each breath stings like fire. Snow falls so heavily that at times, visibility shrinks to a single meter. Mario prods ahead with an ice axe, feeling for each step. Their pace slows to a crawl, 200 meters an hour instead of the usual 2 kilometers. Energy drains fast. Fighting wind, cold, and deep snow takes far more effort than a normal descent. Food supplies run low. No one planned for conditions like this. By 2 p.m., it's clear they've lost the route entirely. Attempts to follow the summer trail only lead them in circles. Landmarks are buried under thick snow. Rock outcrops and ice falls all blur into the same white haze. Mario tries to recall the terrain, but even his decades of experience are useless. Winter has transformed the Alps. Paths that are easy in summer are death traps in winter. Safe passes become avalanche chutes. Stable rock faces glaze over with treacherous ice. Several times, the group is completely swallowed by the storm. The white wall erases sound, shape, distance. They cling to the rope, unsure whether they're moving forward, backward, or just looping in place. During one of these blind moments, the rope snags on a rock and snaps. 3 people are left behind as the rest continue, unaware. It takes 30 frantic minutes of shouting in the gale to reunite them. The incident shows just how fragile their connection has become. Another slip like that, and someone will be lost. Alone in these conditions, survival is nearly impossible. Gabriella Bernardi, the literature teacher, is the first to show serious hypothermia. Her speech slurs, her movements turn clumsy. Classic warning signs. Dr. Elisabetta Paolucci recognizes the danger, but can do little in the field. By 4 p.m., a new menace arrives: thunderstorms. Rare in the Alps, but increasingly common with changing weather, the clash of lightning and blizzard creates an eerie, apocalyptic scene. Bolts flash through the whiteout, casting a strobe-like glow. Thunder echoes off the cliffs, deepening the disorientation. Electrical charges make metal gear. Ice axes, crampons, carabiners buzz and spark. Being on an exposed slope in a thunderstorm is deadly. Climbers become lightning rods. But there's no way to descend further. Ahead lies only a blank white void. The group begins to weaken not just physically, but mentally. Marcello Alberti, the most seasoned among them, voices doubts about the chosen path. Tommaso Peccoli blames himself for relying on a summer map. Tension rises. Mario knows panic would be the final blow. If discipline breaks, catastrophe is certain. He jokes, encourages, promises they're close to the hut. Even as he silently doubts their position. The GPS is erratic, the compass distorted by electrical interference. Only instinct and sheer hope remain. Despite everything, they keep moving. Stopping means freezing where they stand. As long as they move, they generate heat. As long as they have a goal, they have a chance. At 2 p.m., Mario reaches for his last lifeline, a satellite phone. It's expensive but invaluable when all else fails. It can reach the outside world from anywhere on the planet. With numb hands, he pulls it from its protective case. Powering up takes minutes as it searches for a satellite. Every second matters. The cold is draining the battery fast. His first call is to the Valet Rescue Service. Mario knows the number by heart. The connection crackles with interference from the storm. The dispatcher's voice fades in and out. Mario manages to relay the essentials. The group is lost near Pigna de Rola, 14 people. Critical situation. He gives their GPS coordinates, their condition, their rough location. Then the line goes dead. The battery dies, the screen glows red, only a few % left, and then goes black. In the brutal cold, modern lithium batteries simply quit. Rescuers have the distress call, but not enough data to pinpoint the group. GPS readings are fuzzy from the storm. The terrain description is too vague. The search area covers several square kilometers of dangerous alpine wilderness. Rescue teams can't launch right away. Helicopters don't fly in lightning and zero visibility, and ground crews face the same whiteout. Sending them in now could put the rescuers at risk as well. The group is forced to stop on a rocky ledge. the only spot in sight not buried in deep snow. The rock gives a little shelter from the wind, but not much. The gusts still knock people off their feet. Stopping in the open in conditions like this is almost a death sentence, but there's no alternative. Everyone is spent. They have to improvise a shelter, generate some warmth, and wait for a break in the weather. By about 4 in the afternoon, the light starts to fade. Late April days are short in the Alps, and with darkness the cold bites even harder. The thermometer sinks to 30 below, and with the hurricane-force wind it feels closer to 50 below. Emergency blankets come out, those thin metallic sheets meant to reflect body heat. In normal conditions they help fend off hypothermia. In a gale, they shred into useless ribbons. The wind rips the foil from shivering hands, tears it apart, and flings it into the white void. Attempts to weigh the blankets down with rocks fail. The slick surface slides free, the material too light to hold. Peccoli and Castiglione know the women are most at risk. Lower body mass means less stored heat and a faster drop in core temperature. The men try to form a human shield, huddling around the women to block the wind. Tommaso pulls off his own jacket and wraps it around Gabriella, who is drifting into unconsciousness. Mario holds Claudia close, trying to pass her some warmth. Even heroic efforts can't defeat Arctic cold and raging wind. Core temperatures keep falling. Dr. Elisabetta Paolucci knows exactly what's happening. The body switches to survival mode, cutting blood flow to hands and feet to protect the heart and brain. Fingers and toes go numb. Frostbite begins. All 14 people are on the edge. The clock is no longer ticking in hours, but in minutes. Without immediate help and real shelter, they will not survive the night. By 7 in the evening, the situation is critical. Piccoli understands that if nothing changes, everyone will die of hypothermia within a few hours. The architect from Milan steps into the role of leader at the very moment leadership means life or death. He checks the women first. Gabriella Bernardi is nearly unresponsive, a classic sign of severe hypothermia. The shivering has stopped, which is a bad omen. Shivering is how the body makes heat. When it stops, reserves are gone. Despite her training, Elisabetta Paolucci is sliding into a semi-conscious state. She knows what's happening, but she can't save herself. The cruel irony, to diagnose the crisis, yet be powerless against it. Claudia Castiglione is holding up better thanks to years in the mountains, but her lips are turning blue, a sure sign that the tissues aren't getting enough oxygen. Peccoli urges Mario to search for real cover, maybe a crevice, a deeper notch in the rocks, or a lower spot where a snow cave could be dug. Staying exposed on this ledge will kill them all. Mario hesitates. Leaving the group is a huge risk, but staying might be worse. He knows the weight of responsibility. If he finds shelter, he could save them. If he gets lost, they lose their guide. At about 8 in the evening, Castiglione makes a fateful choice. He heads out to scout for shelter, leaving the group in Peccoli's care. "I'll be back in an hour," he says. Those are the last words anyone hears from him. Mario steps into the white void. Visibility is still non-existent, the wind relentless. A veteran alpinist, conqueror of 3 8,000ers, vanishes into the storm. No one will see him alive again. In the morning, rescuers will find his body 200 meters from the group's position. Blinded by spindrift and wind, he lost his bearings and fell into a fissure between rocks. Death was instantaneous, a broken neck. The tragic irony is brutal. Mario went looking for shelter to save his team and became a victim of his own rescue attempt. A professional alpinist died trying to protect the amateurs who trusted his skill. With the guide gone, Peccoli understands that everything now rests on him. He has never led in the mountains, but there is no choice. He must keep discipline, hold panic at bay, and fight for every life. He makes the only right call: do not let anyone fall asleep. In severe hypothermia, sleep is a step toward death. As the body loses heat, it simply shuts down. He forces the group to move, simple exercises, constant talk. Even the half-conscious women he rouses again and again, keeping them from slipping into a lethal drowsiness. Every movement is a small battle for life. Peccoli keeps himself moving too, squats, arm swings, rubbing frozen limbs. He knows that if he goes under, the last hope goes with him. He becomes the anchor holding the group at the thin line between life and death. The night stretches into an eternity. People slip away slowly, drifting into delirium and hallucinations. Textbook signs of terminal hypothermia. By 6 in the morning on April 30th, a small miracle, the wind begins to ease. The storm that raged all night finally weakens. Visibility grows to 10 meters, then 20. For the first time in a day, the shapes of the terrain come into view. Peccary moves from person to person, checking their condition. The scene is devastating. 7 are unconscious, 3 are semi-conscious. Only 4, including Tamaza himself, can respond. Marcello Alberti, the meticulous alpinist who prepared for expeditions like an engineer for a bridge, lies motionless, breath shallow, pulse faint. Peccary knows it's a matter of minutes. Gabriella Bernardi, the teacher who saw art in the mountains, will not open her eyes to alpine beauty again. Her lips are blue, her skin waxen. At 7:23 a.m., a second miracle. A German skier ascending toward the hut notices the still forms on the slope. At first, she thinks it's abandoned gear. Something makes her glide closer. Peccary sees her and summons the last of his voice to call for help. The sound is barely a rasp, but she hears it. She grasps the scale of the disaster instantly and triggers her emergency beacon. Air Glaciers in Sion picks up the distress signal. The coordinates are precise. The situation, dire. 15 minutes later, a red Augusta, A109, lifts off with tail number HBZPF. The pilot, Bruno Bowles, is a veteran of mountain rescues with 2 decades of experience. He has seen a lot, but the sight on the slope staggers even him. 14 people scattered across the snow, most not moving. Landing here takes masterful flying. The slope is steep, the wind fickle, rotor wash throws up blinding clouds of snow. Bowles threads the machine down, setting it on the snow about 30 meters from the group. The crew loads the women first. They're in the worst shape, then the most severely stricken men. The helicopter can carry only 6 at a time, so 2 rotations are needed. Peccary boards last. The architect from Milan, the unlikely hero of this terrible night, finally loses consciousness in the warmth of the cabin. His work is done. He has saved those who could still be saved. The hospital in Sion receives 14 patients with severe hypothermia and varying degrees of frostbite. Medical teams work through the night to keep them alive. For 7, help comes too late. Marcello Alberti dies 2 hours after admission. His body cannot cope with the sudden change in temperature. Dr. Elisabetta Paolucci, the cardiologist who knew every minute matters in emergency care, passes away the next day from complications of hypothermia. Gabriella Bernardi, the literature teacher who wrote poetry about the mountains, will never again see an alpine sunrise. Tamaza Peccary, the quiet hero of that harrowing night, survives, but loses several fingers to frostbite. The tragedy near the Vignettes hut is only part of a wider disaster. An anomalous storm on April 29th and 30th of 2018 claimed 16 lives across the Alps. Seasoned alpinists and expert skiers perish from Chamonix to Zermatt. Swiss authorities declare 3 days of mourning. It's a stark reminder that even in a country with some of the highest safety standards in the world, even amid the comforts of modern mountain tourism, nature remains unpredictable and merciless. The mountains do not forgive. They demand respect, preparation, and humility. The story of the Castiglione group is a lesson for anyone who dreams of great summits. Technology cannot replace experience, and the cozy refuge of a hut does not change the brutal laws of high altitude. What caused this tragedy? A chain of small missteps, each seemingly harmless. The storm was fierce but not sudden. Swiss meteorologists had warned of bad weather 2 days in advance. Forecasts were available to everyone, yet ignored. The experienced skiers placed complete trust in their guide without checking the weather themselves. Mario Castiglione never fully briefed the group on his revised plans. Tamaza Peccary relied on a summer map instead of a winter one. Each choice felt sensible at the time, but the root of the problem runs deeper. Modern alpine tourism creates an illusion of safety. Comfortable huts, professional rescue teams, world-class infrastructure all suggest that nature has been tamed. The Swiss Alps can feel like a giant adventure park. The statistics are sobering. Over 150 people die in the Alps every year. Paradoxically, Europe's strong mountain culture can lower vigilance. When you know a helicopter can come, it's easy to underestimate the danger. This group fell into the trap of the expert halo. They didn't know the detailed route and never questioned the guide's decisions, placing all responsibility on a professional. But the mountains recognize no authority. They judge only the choices made in the moment. The Castiglione story stands as a permanent reminder. Safety is never someone else's job. It's a personal decision to prepare for the worst, even while hoping for the best. The mountains demand respect, always.